Here we go. It is markets in the morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Friday, May 24th, 2024. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, along with the altcoin market. We're getting ready for the stock market to open up here in the next 2 minutes, so we'll take a peek over at that, which it's been a very rough week over there in the United States stock market. We'll take a peek over there at precious metals like gold and silver in the DXY, or the US dollar currency index. Along with taking a look at over there any type of financial news going on in macro markets as we start off the last trading day of the week. And then we'll take a look over there at any type of crypto news going on. Crypto news has essentially been non-stop every day this week, whether it's Bitcoin ETFs or Congress passing, or at least branches, the House of Representatives passing the FIT 21 bill, and voting against having CBDCs. It's been a very interesting week over there in Congress. But yesterday we did get the the Ethereum ETF. The SEC approved some of the forms, so it sounds like over the course of the next couple of months we'll see Ethereum ETFs hit Wall Street. Big milestone, changes the narrative of Bitcoin, of being Bitcoin only. Bitcoin's the chosen one. There is no second best. There is no other thing except for Bitcoin. That has changed. Wall Street is now going to be trading S coins. What up? Let's go. So the Ethereum ETF gets approved. It looks like the market pretty much, this is the Ethereum pump. And then we didn't really get any type of reaction out of the Ethereum ETF getting approved. Gary Gensler didn't even, I retweeted it because Ryan Selkis, or 2-bit idiot, the guy from Masari, had said, hey, where is the office hours video with Gary Gensler? If you remember, Gary Gensler always likes to put out his pre-planned videos whenever they end up doing anything and posting them over there on Twitter. Of course, he does that with Bitcoin. He does that with everything else. But why isn't there one for Ethereum? Why are there no comments about it from Ethereum? Why is the SEC silent about it on Ethereum? Again, one of those things where the market really got surprised by it because it seemed like it was a political swap that happened over there with the SEC because of all the pressure being placed on Democrats right now due to their stance being over there on cryptocurrencies. And so I guess Gary didn't have his pre-planned video ready to go. Little noodle hand Gary. But yeah, anyway, so we got the ETF approved. Of course, the thing we're all watching in here is to see if the market can expand. So we did not get expansion yesterday from the ETF. All the crazy news in there, still have not seen expansion happen over here in this market. So we're all just patiently kind of waiting for it. Right before the ETF was announced. So everybody was kind of sitting there waiting for that moment to happen. And the expectation really was for it to come out by, when we talked about it at Markets in the Morning, we said, well, you'd think they'd do it by 5 p.m., right? It's the end of the day. It's when they would have it done. Eventually going into Eric Balchunas, I don't want to mispronounce his name anymore. Eric Balchunas, the ETF guy over there on Twitter, at Eric BAL. I'm just going to give this to you guys so you can follow him yourself. This guy. This is your ETF guy. ERICBALCHUNAS. Balchunas. I don't know. Anyway, he was like, we probably will get it by 4 p.m. Eastern time. So the market sat patiently waiting for 4 p.m. to arrive. Seems like the market was, where were we? Let's go to Ethereum. Put you on the 5-minute here on Ethereum. Here we go. We're approaching for market seem to have, all the market participants seem to enter into leveraged long positions over there. And right before it turned 4 o'clock, let's see if we can just do on the 1-minute chart. Oh, right at 4 on the dot. Right at 4 on the dot. No news had come out. Boom. Market liquidates all the people who longed Ethereum, going down 6%. So essentially, anybody who had leverage greater than 15x got wiped out in that one right there. And you know how this market is. People love to do more than 10x leverage in this space. So anyway, market still just sits here hovering in here. No sign of it. No sign of expansion or taking out our retracement levels just yet for Ethereum, as we all patiently await. You could see in the chat this morning, I was just kind of sitting back, casually reading the chat. You got all the people. I love you guys, but you're all the same. Whining that your bags didn't pump on the Ethereum ETF. Sure, we're all like, nothing happened from it. Reference points we can look back for is just, we only have one reference point of what happened with an ETF in this space, and it was really with Bitcoin. Initial rise that happened there upon that. Obviously, of course, all of us were hoping we could at least get something to try to get an expansion going. Did not happen. What ended up happening with the Bitcoin ETFs after the Bitcoin ETFs got approved right here on the 10th, right? I think it was Wednesday, the 10th, maybe it was the 11th, right? And then things cooled off and then things took off. Either way, the pullback that we did end up seeing, what are the things we keep kind of talking about in here, trying to find some supports and build some support structures. You can look over here at total 2. That liquidation was actually a perfect back test of the breakout of that range, right? So we were stuck in this range for a month and a half. We were excited to see if we could get out of the range. You could see that moment in time, it did go back and slam right back into that previous resistance. We'll see if we can continue to hold in through here. This is total 2, the altcoin market. So we're kind of stuck in between a couple of places in here. Obviously, we are on top of a support level in here, but we're stuck underneath all the retracement levels in here. So now we all just kind of patiently wait. Like we talked about the last couple of days, even getting out of here wouldn't end up being something like my expectations were not that we were going to end up shooting way out of there, but that we were going to have to work around in here for some time before we could end up getting up in there. Some of the examples of how those things can play out are just things like this, or this is the one that was grueling. This is the one we actually had back in 2020, where we just grinded through here for quite some time. So obviously, as long as we're still stuck, we're all just going to have to kind of sit here and watch these ranging structures and how they start developing. And hopefully it's faster than slower. I don't think any of us, I know nobody wants it to go slow, but we don't get to control the market. The big boys do. So, this is what we've got so far. Hopefully we can get some more developments to happen throughout the weekend. Otherwise, things like with Bitcoin, kind of interesting in here. Like if you just look at this from like a channel structure of what's happened here for Bitcoin, it's like it's gone through the channel, escaped the channel, and now just kind of resting back on top of it. It seems logical that we could try to find supports in here at this point where we're at right now. It's normal to pull back down and do something like that. So hopefully that does end up being support. Hopefully we're seeing confluences of that happening in multiple places by seeing total 2 hit the support levels, channels breaking out and backtesting channels, and the conclusions of these things wrapping up in here. But we are all at the mercy of just waiting at this point, as we are still trying to get to the point of excitement, because we're just not there, right? I feel 99.9999% confident. Everything just depends on us getting through the level that we've already hit right in here. That's our expansion level. Like, this is all great stuff. Even the all-time high, I don't even think about the all-time high. It's all about getting through the expansion of where we're at right now. And like just with the total altcoin market cap, right? It goes back to the 702. We take a strong rejection off of it. And if we're able to get out of here, this is where everything is the determining factor on whether or not this market can go into a bull market or not. So far, it's just a retracement. We want more, but everything depends on us getting through right here. I think this is the deciding factor. I'm not even going to hedge my words. This is the deciding factor on if this market goes bam, massive, or if it's doom goblin town. And my thoughts are not that, we can get through here and then we just do something like this and then roll over. No, my thoughts are we can get through here. It's full-blown expansion happening into the cryptocurrency market. But this is the place where those dreams can turn to nightmares if we can't get through here. So we're all still just going to have to patiently wait and hopefully something develops pretty soon. We'll move on. Let's see who's in the green today. XRP is slightly in the green today. Zcash, Link, Ondo, Kusama, Dogecoin, Uniswap, all nothing crazy, right? It's all still just kind of ranging action happening in here. Again, this is like what others looked like when we did this back in 2020. As we were trying to work our way out of here, you could just kind of get an idea on how these things can play out in here. If your thoughts are, hey, hopefully we shoot up to the absolute sky really soon. Very normal to have to work those things out for some time in here. And otherwise, things are looking good. Things are not acting out of the norm. They're totally acting within the norm, but it's just a process, and we're having to go through that. As for the stock market has had just an absolutely brutal week over here. The Dow Jones was down over 600 points yesterday. Today, it looks like it's got a little bit of a recovery in here, up 114 points. NASDAQ's up 56. The Russell is up 11 points, and the S&P is up 18. Winners and losers of the stock market this morning are AMC, Coinbase, Tesla, and Netflix. Losers are Microsoft, Nvidia, and United Health. Of course, Nvidia was up over 9% yesterday. It was really the only thing that was green yesterday. Can I find it? Here we go. Here's what the stock market looked like yesterday. Like we talked about, this entire stock market is being held up by... There's your stock market yesterday. Nvidia, right? So just a wacky, wonky market that we are in right now. Here is the Russell. So the Russell still has not been able to get into any type of expansion. So that's what we still wait on in here, if that's going to end up happening or not. But as for the Dow, there you go, catching itself a little bit today after a really, really rough week out there. As for gold and silver sits at $30.49. It's up 36 cents this morning. For the past week, it as well has also had a pretty dramatic pullback, going back from $32.50, getting as low as $30, practically even. Now sitting at $30.50. Of course, we know that silver's been in a breakout of a 4-year range. May just be a back test of the top of the range happening in here. Gold has also been pulling back in here, losing a lot of that momentum that it's had in this big grind up. So gold may be starting to get ready to stall out, and we could see bearish divergences starting to emerge in here as well. So gold chilling out. Historically, that's the thing we look for. It's why we have all these areas isolated in here for 2013, 17, and 21. These are all of your equity and Bitcoin bull runs that took place. They all happen in the inverse relationship of gold. Gold skyrocketing in here. Well, it's why we're all still just sitting here waiting for something to happen. And hopefully we can get something to happen soon, and hopefully gold is chilled out. As for Bitcoin, though, this is kind of the thing I've got an area of interest in here. The big question has been, are we still just in ranging context happening in here? Are we actually further along in here and now just coming in for somewhat of a back test? You can see pulling back into that bull flag, back into that bull flag. So we'll see if this thing holds throughout the weekend, especially with it being a channel breakout happening in here. We'll see if this thing can continue to hold, along with getting the confluence of these things happening in here for like the altcoin market. So not as all bad, but we're just going to have to, obviously we want to see that a reversal happen in here at this point. So throughout the weekend, I think it'll be more about just can we chill? Can we just kind of hang out? I'm not looking for anything magical to happen throughout the weekend, but really more things just to kind of settle down in here, and then we're good to go. And again, that's really the things we just see throughout here, just settling down. So there you have it. That's what's up in crypto. Bitcoin, Ethereum ETF gets approved, but we do not get expansion happening in here. Right? So we're looking at the big range that goes back to 2021 in here. This is our big range in here. And then if we zoom in on a much closer time frame and we look at it from this aspect, you can see still range bound in here as well. So come on. What I'm curious of is, we've talked about these things, right? You had your GameStop, you had your retail euphoria show up in here, and right, the GameStop thing was all over before Bitcoin even went into the bull run. It's starting to certainly look like the GameStop stuff is already over. But so was it here. We had already gone through it. It had already made all the headlines, all the stuff where Robinhood like stopped people from being able to buy it, and the only thing you could do was sell GameStop. We had already gotten past all that. All that drama of GameStop was already done by the time we got way over here. The thing that showed up that just none of us could see at this time was actually just a real surprise. So is there a real true surprise that is coming to the market? Hard to forecast that, right? It's like this was a surprise that came to the market that people didn't forecast. We'll see if we end up getting one for Bitcoin, but that is so far we've had like every element play along to like how we have in the past, whether the altcoin market is reaching its retracement levels with Bitcoin, with on-chain, then the retail behavior happening in here. The only thing left in here for that range would be a surprise to show up to the market. I don't think, when for retail and for us with the lowest, we're the furthest down the vine of getting information, right? Like for the Fit 21 thing to get past, right? A lot of upper people already knew that way ahead of time, right? That wasn't a surprise to the market. The ETF stuff, somebody knew, right? Somebody already knew ahead of time. But will there be a true surprise to this market? Hopefully, like we talked about, or at least I tweeted about yesterday over there on Twitter, that it's such an interesting time, and like I just don't like speculating on things with like the Ripple lawsuit and saying settlement's going to happen or anything like that, because there's so much clickbaiting that happens here in crypto, and people love to just clickbait it tremendously because everybody wants it. We all want a settlement. We all want it to be over with, and I don't have any information to say whether or not it will be. But like when you're in a moment like this right now and you're watching the SEC flip-flop like a fish, it makes you question, right? Democrats are getting so much pressure put on them right now. You're watching them behave differently in Congress. And then you watch the SEC uncharacteristically flip-flop like a fish and noodle fingers and approve the Ethereum ETF. They didn't have any preparations for it. They didn't have any pre-recorded videos for it from Gary. They just felt the political pressure and went for it and did it. Is there a chance this is about to end with XRP as well? Right? Is that the grand finale of it all? Is that the surprise to the market? I don't know. Food for thought, though. Sure feels like it's leading up to that. So, all right, there you go. That's what we got going on in crypto today. Hopefully we're just somewhere around there, finding some supports on there. And then after the total 2 comes down and smacks it pretty hard, and then we just grind up. Hopefully it's a faster move up and we can get out of here. Hopefully it's not something that is super dragged out like we've been through before. And hopefully we do get into expansion. But right now it's still a patiently waiting thing. The day you'll see me just hooting and hollering and being like, no more worrying, is just if we can get through here, right? Like it's just no surprise. That's the level that we get stopped at. That's the area we got to get through. And so if we can get through there, if we can get a surprise in the market and get pushed out, we will just be roaring ridiculously bullish. But still, we just continue to wait. We got through step 1. Step 1 was to not break down from here. That was absolutely step 1. So now we just are going to have to go through this phase as we talked about. So, okay, there you go. Ethereum, others, Dow surviving today, up 85 points now. Nasdaq's up 89 and the S&P's up 21. Silver up, gold slight up. Again, everything has really taken a beating over there in the United States stock market. So we'll be taking a closer look at that next week when it comes to the United States stock market. Things, of course, that we've talked about a lot in here. just in regards to concerns on things with that, just how high the Fed funds rate is. We've seen this story happen multiple times. I'm not going to beat you guys to death with this today. That when we have events like this happen and we're in these elevated Fed funds rate, the biggest clickbait anybody can give you of the most uneducated nonsense is to say that rate cuts are bullish. They're not. And so with where we're at right now, of course, watching for things like these and signs like these things to be showing up in here as we are in that moment right there. So we'll be diving more into that next week. We won't get into it too much today. I'm just trying to keep it kind of light, tight, and bright today because things are looking okay in crypto. So don't want to throw a wrench into it just yet. So we're looking okay. But all right, there we go. We'll dive on. Oh, let's look at the DXY. US dollar currency index. It's at 104.8. Nothing crazy going on in there. This thing has been in this little bit of this trajectory upwards in here ever since it closed out the gap. It just continues bouncing. There's no evidence of it breaking down just yet. It's still just continuing to. As for the financial news going on out there, the stock futures rise as the Dow looks to recover from its worst session since March of 2023, right? It has been over a year since we've seen something like that happen when you get over 600 point slam down in the Dow Jones. So that was a sight to behold yesterday. Again, it's just the same things we keep seeing, right? It was the whole stock market getting slammed yesterday. But who's killing it? NVIDIA, right? It's just a weird dynamic happening out there in the markets. NVIDIA CEO, of course, we get NVIDIA on the front page. And NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang's net worth swells from $3 billion to $90 billion in 5 years. Oh, yeah, that's normal. Ethereum slips after SEC opens the door to Ethereum ETFs. Still heads for best week in more than a year. Former TikTok CEO Kevin Mayer says AI hype is at an all-time fever pitch right now. I agree. I think there's even charts that have come out where, like, when somebody does their earnings, when they do their earnings calls, when any of these companies do their earnings calls, it's like a mandatory that they're saying the word AI in their earnings calls, even if they have nothing to do with AI. Because all the bots are looking for it, all the algos are looking for it, and if they're not saying the words AI in their earnings calls, they're getting slammed. It's at its also. Advertisers boost spending at retailers such as Walmart and Amazon as TV shrinks. All right, moving over to crypto. Bitcoin and Ether rally cools following the U.S. Ether ETF listing approval. One trader said Ether's sell-off on positive news is typical. Buy the rumor, sell the news behavior. Okay, look, we all know that, but this was an interesting phenomenon, and that's such a to say something like that is almost cringe because everybody knows that. Buy the rumor, sell the news. And this was a very interesting one because this one was a sell the rumor, right? Then 2 days before the Ethereum ETF gets passed, it became oh wait, we're all wrong. The rumor's wrong. Buy the rumor, and then news, right? So it was a very drastic thing. If it was a circumstance of if the 2 days prior things had not changed, then would it have been like that? So it's almost cringeworthy to have that hindsight perspective at this point in the circumstance like this. If something had months of preparation and lead up to it, definitely. We all know that. And we even talked about it on the channel that it's probably people are actually wrong-footed on this thing. And they've actually been doing sell the rumor, thinking that it's going to get denied. And then what happened? Buy the news. Wait, it is getting approved by the news. So it actually was the opposite. Kabuso, the dog who inspired Dogecoin and Shiba Inu, is no more. Okay, so I spent a very little amount of my energy this morning, maybe 15 or 20 seconds about doing this. Okay, what do you call this? What is it called where you feel like you've experienced this before? Or like you have a memory of the past, or you have a memory of how things have played out. No, not deja vu. It's the other thing. What's the other thing called? Something effect or no, you're all doing deja vu. The Mandela effect. Bingo. Okay. Haven't we seen this dog die 5 times in the last decade? Do I have this memory that we have seen this dog die 5 times in the last 10 years? Am I the only one? You're right. Yes. Okay. Okay. No, you're not the only one. Okay. Yeah. This dog has died 5 times. This dog dies like every 2 years. Okay. Check with your doctor, basically. Okay. Yeah, the dog who inspired Doge. Okay, look, I'm just gonna Google it. Wait, it was like 2017. Doge dog dies. Either like one thing is maybe it's like not even real. Like, what if the dog never is real, and we just make up this story every few years? Like, here you go. Here's 2017. March 31st, 2017. Rest in peace, Doge. The Shiba Inu who inspired popular internet meme dies in Japan at age 16 in 2017. I'm not okay. I think we're getting played. Okay. All right. I don't know what's up with that, but okay. Yeah, so that, and here's what's real weird about it. Make sure I don't have anything. Why is this such big news? Why? BBC News, NBC, the New York Times. Why? I don't know. I think there's something to it. And it's like recycled. That like this is the time you like somebody should find a correlation of how many times a Doge dog has died and what happened in the market afterwards. And how much media coverage there was from it at the time. Okay. Otherwise, rest in peace to dogs. Everybody loves dogs. I don't know. There's something just weird about it. Okay. Spot Ether ETFs are approved, but Gary Gensler didn't vote for them. Here's why. Crypto icon Kabosu, the Doge meme dog, passes away at 17. What? I thought he passed away at 16 7 years ago. We'll see. Ethereum ETF approved, so why aren't we rich yet? That's because the market hasn't expanded. Zeneca's portfolio peaked at 20 million, and he has 2021 vibes again, says the NFT collector. SEC's ETF decision means Ethereum and a lot of other tokens are not securities. Yeah. So my prediction, that's the end of the ETFs. That's the end of it. We all know it. For the last decade, we've watched it. It's been Bitcoin and Ethereum who've gotten all the love. You see the Solana people just doing their absolute best on Twitter to try to pump their bag and convince everybody that Solana is next. I doubt it. I really doubt it. The SEC loves the use case of all the Solana meme coins, I'm sure. I just really, really, really doubt it. I'm not here to FUD your bag, Solana people, but you are, I think, way out of line. I think that if there's, here's my prediction. If there are going to be additional ETFs that come out, they're going to be like the most boring ones possible. Like Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic, the things that have had the almost regulatory green light behind Bitcoin and Ethereum, Those are the ones that places like Coinbase were comfortable with back in 2017 and 18. Those are the ones that PayPal was comfortable with. Those were the ones that Robinhood was initially comfortable with, and maybe Dogecoin too. I'll put Doge on that list. So I'd probably say Doge, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic, the ones that you are like super bored over. Those are probably the ones that have a better chance than Solana. All right, moving on. Ethereum ETF decision is due in hours. Okay, you guys have not updated your stuff. Starkware ZK Thread solution could prevent fund lockup, similar to FTX. The SEC's ETF decision means Ethereum and a lot of other tokens are not securities. Spot Ether ETFs receive official approval from the SEC. The Ethereum ETF approved. So why aren't we rich yet? Sounds like you guys recycled stuff in throughout here. So nothing to talk about here in crypto. I mean, we've had a lot going on in crypto this week, obviously, having stuff going on with the Ethereum ETFs and everything going on over there in Congress. Unfortunately, though, it did not provide any type of exit velocity out of retracement levels. So if you ignore the news wire, if you ignore everything, and you say screw all the narratives and everything that has to do with anything narrative related, and you're just looking at the chart, and that's the only thing that you're looking at, you actually get right. You get into retracement levels. You say, all right, it's time for me to kind of take some off the table here into the retracement levels and wait to see if we're going to end up escaping them, right? Hard to do that when you have so many narratives being jammed down your throat, but that's where you're at with all of it right now. So we didn't get escape velocity. What we can hope for, hopefully there's some type of surprise coming up next week, because structurally Bitcoin looks okay. Again, I'm not buying Bitcoin. I have zero interest in trading or holding Bitcoin. I don't know what percentages you guys are chasing. Not of interest to me. By all means, you do whatever you want. Have fun with it. It's not for me. But you know, this obviously typically is a indicator of what the rest of the market can do. So even if it just trends up slightly, that's all it takes, man. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. We'll see if we can hold this through the weekend. That's really just kind of the things we're looking for, is to see some signs of things starting to hold themselves and provide some stability after the pullback that has happened here in the second half of the week, after the excitement took place in the first half of the week. Otherwise, congrats. We are officially an industry with altcoins out there. Bitcoin, it just feels so good to have the Bitcoiners spend all this time just ridiculously toxic towards everybody not Bitcoin related. And there's vindication for the other side of the market that this is not the Bitcoin show. Michael Saylor, very aggressive, saying Ethereum will not get approved. It did. We have an S-coin market on Wall Street. So shove it up the backside, Bitcoin. All right, there you go. That's what you got. You got no news going on out there whatsoever at this point, outside of your Ethereum ETF does get approved and all the other stuff that happened earlier in the week, which we've already covered. But as of today, we'll see if the stock market can find some stability, as this has been a pretty rough week happening here for it. It is stable here, at least to start off the last day. Metals also took a big spill this past week as well, after the big breakouts that occurred in the 2 weeks prior to that. So heading into the weekend, the things I'm looking for is stability to come in here, and then hopefully we get some big stuff. So next week is consensus, right? So that's one of the bigger ones throughout the year, bigger conferences throughout the year. I'll be checking that out. So we will have markets in the morning on Monday and Tuesday. Things get very spotty after that, because then I will be at consensus after that. And that is the last conference related event for me for the year, which I thoroughly enjoy being at that and meeting a lot of you and shaking your hands and spending time with you. Please do not be scared to walk up and say hi and say what's up. They're a tremendous amount of fun, but I'm ready to get all my information soaked in at these things and come back and report it all to you and get back to the norm. And in the summer, obviously, the things are going to change up here on the channel a little bit. Markets in the Morning is going to shift to once per week on Wednesdays, and then we'll have videos on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Obviously, videos have been pretty spotty. There's been 0 videos this week. If you guys know, there's been a lot going on in my personal life. I don't know if you can hear it at all. My son in the background screaming. I hear it. I don't know how you don't hear it. So he's been noisy, and just, we're heading into the summer. Last summer, we did do Markets in the Morning throughout the whole summer, but it was a challenge. It was a big challenge for me. I do enjoy making videos, or one of my, they're like a passion project of mine, because they give me the ability to sit there and actually become creative and look at things and analyze things and present cool findings to you. Markets in the Morning, it's kind of a lot of the same stuff over and over again. We're looking at this chart. Here's what this looks like today. This is what that did. Then we look at this, and this looks a lot like this did. And then that looks like that. And then we saw this move from there to there. And, and it's the best part of doing Markets in the Morning is hanging out with you guys all day. But the hard part for the summer is going to be having the kids home, and that it makes it nearly impossible to do a Markets in the Morning and a video, like nearly impossible. So we're going to focus more video centric during the summertime with the kids. That also gives me the ability to be able to travel and do stuff with the kids and still get videos out and stuff like that. So we'll have a little bit of a shift there during the summer, and then we'll resume things back in the fall. Otherwise, I think next week we'll have Markets in the Morning on Monday and Tuesday, and then it's off to consensus Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then report back to you my findings, what I think going on with the industry. It'll be interesting to see that with all the changes in the regulatory developments and the changes with Ethereum now having its ETFs approved. Hopefully, I know that Electric Capital will be presenting their developer report again this year. That's something that I took a lot from last year, and it sent me on the big journey last year of figuring out what went on with the altcoin market in 2021. And I'm looking forward to the other information. I think I've already pre-planned my entire schedule for while I'm there, and what events and showcases I'll be watching. So that'll be fun. And, me attending these things gives me the ability to report these things back to you. So, whew, it's been a lot of traveling, man. What are we in May? So in March, we went to Australia. April, Las Vegas. I feel like there was another one in there somewhere. I don't know where. I feel like there was another one. Steven says, my wife asked me about fibs, and I tried to explain. Then we started talking about how we seem to be in cycles within our own lives and repeated similar events. It messed with her head. Mine too. Yeah. I've had really in-depth conversations with this too on whether or not fibs are is it just part of the universe's balance? Like even outside of charting, just in real life. Like in things we can't measure, how often are they actually happening? So, okay, that's what we got going on. We'll see if we can find some supports happening in here. Total 2 was a perfect slam right back down there onto the support yesterday when that liquidation took place right before the ETF was approved for Ethereum. We'll look for things to just kind of chill out in here throughout the day. It looks like XRP is still just kind of held itself together okay through all of the stuff that has gone on in here. No big changes happening in here. Of course, that would be the big grand finale of them all, to shove it up Gary Gensler. If we can walk away from this thing and get it complete. So that's what we'll look for throughout the coming week, and pray that is what ends up being the development. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and jump into the chat. I can't believe I just rambled for 38 minutes. Holy cow. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. We got 2,000 people in here. We got 600 likes. If you guys could, please hit the like button. I appreciate it. From here on out, you got 38 minutes of rambling coming from me. Now at this point, it's probably going to turn into a goofball fest for the remaining 20 minutes. So if you hit the like on the way out, I appreciate it. Some people actually pour in for the goofball fest, so we'll see. Andy Philpott, nearly an hour ago, had gifted 5 BCB memberships. Man, I really appreciate it, Andy. You do that all the time, man, and you do it before the stream even starts. I really appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Uh, Saints HD says, hey, BCB, I think I see some crashing structures on Theta AVAX Rune on the 1 hour chart. Oh, boy. I'm not going to feel comfortable with something on a 1 hour chart, man. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rolls back up. Those looking for one more, right? Yeah. I see it. Essentially, what he's saying. If you guys have not taken the BC Backer course, or if you have not watched the dozens of videos I've put out discussing the crashing structure out there that I've put here on YouTube, what do you end up getting, right? 7. Usually like that. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like it, but again, you're looking at the 1 hour chart. So, again, like when we're looking at things at such minuscule time frames too, a news event, some liquid event could happen that could render it not when you're on that small of a time frame. But right now, it does look like it. Happiest little place in the galaxy had gifted 10 BCB memberships. Man, thank you very much. Man, I saw you do that too right before the stream started. But unfortunately, right when the stream starts, I'm going into it. I'm getting into my groove. I appreciate it very much, man. Dave's guy says, hey, BCB, do you think crypto going down on positive news is worrisome, similar to the bottoms when the market stops going down on bad news? Stocks look toppy. Well, I think we kind of already have gone through all of that. Again, when we're trying to incorporate news, positive news, I do think, and I've said this from the beginning, that a fundamental news trader will get wrecked nonstop. If it is constantly news, if you're constantly news trading and not looking at like bigger pictures, right? This is a concern, right? So this is where you are. You're at retracement levels. Now you look for things to fall apart. Where do things actually fall apart? Here's why this is hard, and here's why crypto people will get so pissed off. You are in a range context, and it's a large range. In these environments, I lost it because we went here. If the range context ends up looking like that, we could go real deep in here, right? And then when do things get troublesome? Things get troublesome if we break right here, right? And it's not till we get down here. Then it's like, oh crap, that thing's probably going to keep going, right? That's where things get bad. That would have to travel down a lot, and you would likely see a lot of altcoins lose 20, 30% before you got there and said, oh yeah, it's going to actually get really bad. So you have to take shots at stuff. And for me, when I take shots at stuff, I take them in here. I take them in the retracement levels if I'm going to take shots to build a cash position. Because likely it could pull down and then pull back up, and then everything ends up being fine. But if you get down here and then it goes down one more, then it's just all trash. So for me, the thing that has worked best for me is that if I'm going to take a cash position and I'm going to build one, I'm going to do it into retracement levels and try to build them out in here. And if a market goes into expansion, guess what? I lose. I missed out on all that. Whoopsie. And then I can feel more comfortable being in here. And it's just about your risk, right? You're going to ride it down to here and then hope it comes back up, but could be wrong and it goes down more. Or are you just going to be willing to miss that in there? Right? For some people, it's not even about trading it at all. It's like, whatever, I'll just hold it for 10 years. It doesn't even matter. But right now, with where you're at, like news, the sinister part of me, right? The we're getting played part of me always says to myself, we get back to the 702 retracement. We get Bitcoin ETF. We get Ethereum ETF. And we get regulations. Hope you like my handwriting. We got all of these positive things to be mega bulls back at the retracement levels. But we can't get through. The sinister part of me says, are we getting trapped? Right? You don't get Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs down in here. You get FTX collapses. You get Lonas. You get Celsiuses. For you to be a seller at the lows. Geez, that was a nice dyslexic. What the heck am I doing? Okay, seller at the lows. Now that I've made just trash out of this, right? You were designed to be a seller here, and now we're getting all the news to be a buyer, but we haven't escaped from here. That's the sinister part of me, right? So I look around and I say, but you got these things, right? This is exactly how the markets behave. The on-chain signatures are the same. The Bitcoin price structure is the same. Again, and I'm sitting here saying, still, sincerely from the bottom of my heart, I would not be surprised if Bitcoin just ranges in here and that's the top of Bitcoin and this goes on for eternity, or if there even is a new high, it's not very much. I'm not a big proponent that there's going to be some massive bull craziness happening for Bitcoin. But our on-chain signatures are very similar. And I wrote all about this with TXMC. We wrote all about this thing. These signatures are like you're deep into the bull market. It's just like you're in January of 2021, which is not what most people think is happening in this market. Most people are looking at this thing saying, we're just getting started. The block reward halving just happened. We got Bitcoin ETFs. But that's not what the on-chain signatures are saying. It's not what the profit takes. You guys hear that scream? Yeah, that's the sun. That's the kid doing his thing. The on-chain signatures say you're very, very far into the Bitcoin bull run, very far into it. And this was too, right? So this was very far into the Bitcoin bull run. This was the last leg. This was your last leg of the Bitcoin bull run, and then it was over. Wouldn't that be something, right? If it is just kind of like, hey, let's go on for eternity in here. So either way, there's things that make me concerned, like you're talking about with positive news. One, I'm not a newswire person. I have seen enough where I talk about the magical unicorn, fairy dust, puppet masters, pulling puppet strings, God or simulation, all the news stuff. Most people try not to go learn how to look at a chart. They try to think that they can read it based on news, and that has never worked for you. Like be real with it. You've sold every bottom. You have bought every top based on news. Every time. And that's why news is the worst thing, in my opinion, to be looking at to try to decipher what a chart is going to do next. So if the news isn't doing anything, is it worrying me? Not really. Because it normally doesn't. It's normally the wrong footing instrument. But yeah, like you're talking about, right? If all the positive news is happening up in here, does that leave some concern? Yep. Hopefully, though, it gets to expansion. But this is our problem, right? This is our big problem, right? And for reality's sake, right? Just for you to run through it in your own head, everyone, and have a thought exercise. Just do it for yourself and have a thought exercise. Don't just go screaming, "What are you saying, blockchain backer? What are you saying?" Have a thought experiment and act like an adult for a minute, okay? What are you going to do if that doesn't get into expansion? What are you going to do? Are you going to wait for something like that to happen? And then it gets all the way down here. Everything's down another 70%. And then you're going to say, okay, so look at your bag right now. Go ahead and cut that down to 30%. Are you going to do something then? Or are you going to go on the internet and you're going to scream at people? Right? The reason we have that thought experiment right here, right now, is because of where you're at. This is the 702 retracement of the market. You're now at the 702 retracement of that fall. If you're going to make decisions and guess what comes next in the market, these are places where people will typically make a guess. And then they'll wait. And then they'll say, whoops, we got out. Whoops, I'm back in. Or if S hits the fan, they've got some money out of the game. It's a thought experiment. Run it through your head. Do you guys hear that? Like, do you guys hear that? Okay. All right. So anyway, right. And so like things we're going to look for to be like, oh no, things aren't looking good. Like the first signs for me would be like, if we go below here on Bitcoin, that would be a concern for me. Right. Because then we start removing things like this from happening in here that, hey, we got carried away and now we've pulled back lower. Things on like total 3. If we start dipping, if we start dipping really below these lows that have been set back here, back on May 14th, right? So we should be looking for continuous higher lows to be built in here. You can see we can come pretty close, but if we start kind of taking them out, and especially, if you took out the low there from May 1st where we started the month, then it just starts getting super sketchy and super sketchy and super sketchy. Right. But otherwise, these things can drag on like this for a long time. So the signs that we would be like, oh, crud, it looks really bad, probably wouldn't show up until things actually started getting bad already. So just to kind of think about that. And new lows getting set. But you can kind of see how these things can traverse like this for quite some time, and then eventually get into expansion. Right now, they look totally fine. It looks totally great. Like everything is acting right on cue. Right? Look at the support test. Beautiful, right? Bitcoin, like we just talked about, right? Channel escaping, right? Nothing crazy happening in here, right? These things are all looking okay. But just food for thought with where we're at. And these are the things we always talk about when we're back into retracements again. So up to you. Okay. Next up, alpha beta soup. But yeah, your question is about news, of course. Yeah. Has the tinfoil hat gone onto my head to say, man, they sure are releasing a lot of good news while we're back here? Yeah, it has. Alpha Beta Soup gifted 10 BCB memberships. Alpha Beta Soup, Mr. TXMC himself makes an appearance. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Good to see you on here, dude. Cameron Vaughn, not asking you to pull up a chart. I'm just curious if you've heard about Ondo and in general, where are places you go to research projects? Everything is different. I bounce around on a lot of development activity and stuff. Otherwise, if you're looking for Ondo, you're going to have to find people who are actually like covering it, right? Ondo is one of those ones with the RWA assets. It was talked about in one of the newsletters in here that was recently put out. The newsletter prior to this was talking all about those different sectors of the market and who's doing well, what was included in each sector. Obviously, Ondo is included in the RWA sector, real world assets. Ondo's the highest market cap coin by in the RWA category, and RWA category is hot. So if you haven't read that one over there on the Substack, there's a link in the description of this video. But yeah, Ondo's holding up. Ondo has set a new high. There you go. Ondo's doing well. Again, just because I pull a chart up doesn't mean go buy it because it's at a new all-time high. Some of y'all are nuts. That's what you love to do. But, right, it's part of the RWA narrative. It's the highest by market cap in that sector. Cody. Dude, I am far behind. What a crazy week. Fit 21, no Fed, CBDC, and Ethereum ETFs approved. Is scared to get so much good news at retracements, but man, it's just so bullish long term. Let's effing go. Yeah, exactly. It is a lot of good news at the retracements. Hopefully, there's like a grand finale escape narrative coming. And again, all of that stuff and all that pressure showing up all at once. For a political flip-flop to happen in there. One can only hope that's the case for XRP here in the short term when it comes to what's been going on with the SEC, right? Everybody has said, like, not content creators. Content creators have dangled the settlement thing in front of you nonstop because it's great clickbait. But the legal professionals have told you no settlement happening in there. Now we're at the point where the judge is going to decide the penalties, right? Maybe the SEC cannot afford another loss right now. Politically cannot afford to take an L on this circumstance that we're in right now. And getting that by watching all the Democrats starting to flip over on their votes, seeing the SEC suddenly U-turn and approve the Ethereum ETF. Is there any chance to have like an actual glimmer of hope that something is coming to a conclusion? It feels like the snowball has been in motion for this moment right here. If there's any chance of it, and that's just gut instinct based on a crazy circumstance that we're in. Maybe, man. Matt Smith. Hey, Matt, it's been a little while, man. You're the man, BCB. Your commitment to this is impressive, and I've learned a lot from your channel, even outside of charting. I will continue to follow you after all this, but I'm ready for this expansion. LFG. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it, man. And if you don't know, like, all comments go through approval here on the YouTube channel to get all the scammers out of there. I'm sure if you go to lots of other YouTube channels, you'll see that there are scammers sprinkled throughout the comments like crazy. It's been going on 2.5 years, maybe it's been 3.5 years. I think it's been 3.5 years of manually approving every single comment in the comment section to prevent scammers. And Matt's been commenting for years. Thanks, Matt. I see a lot of names in there, like Texas Takeover is a mod in here. Because I've seen Texas Takeover for forever. Every video is always commenting on it. And then Steven had talked about his wife and the fibs. Yeah, no, it's a great way to make your mind explode when you start thinking about it. And then you start really going through, like, all right, you ready? Are we ready to sidetrack this conversation and go way out on left field? Are we ready? Here we go. Where are we at? 58 minutes into this thing. We're going way out. Okay. All right. So I've been sober for over a decade. And one of the hardest things earlier in my years was I was agnostic. And so agnostic pretty much means that you're just undecided. You can't choose one, right? When it comes to a religion or a belief in a God or anything like that. It was really easy for me to have that belief because I'm pretty analytical, if you have not determined that yet. And I've watched a lot of religious wars that have happened. People kill each other over stuff, over their beliefs, and that has gone on for forever. And, it's really easy to hold on to the agnostic approach because how do I know who is right and who is wrong? Somebody's wrong, but everybody's willing to kill each other over who's right. How do I know I'm going to make the right decision and that what I choose is right and that I didn't just waste my whole life choosing the wrong one and it was actually those other guys that were right. Sorry about that. And it was those other guys that were right. And so that's the analytical approach that I took to it when it came to religion or believing in any type of God. But then when I got sober, I just I realized, it was putting too much pressure on myself and my life, and it became a whole lot easier in life to take that weight off of me and seek God to take a lot of the things that are out of my control. And that's a hard thing in life, is to just admit that a lot of things are out of your control. For example, things that are out of my control. What just happened with my son this past week? I can sit here, I can wrap him in a bubble all I want. I can put him in the most expensive school close anywhere, right? I can do all the things that I want to keep things within my control and be in control of life. But I cannot control if my son runs with his hands behind his back and trips on a rug and slams his face into the ground. It's out of my control. It's part of life's surprises. So it took a lot of, once I just kind of stopped trying to be in control of the entire universe, right? And that the world doesn't revolve around me, life got a whole lot easier. But the interesting thing, again, this is all circling back to talking about Fibonacci's, by the way. The thing that was funny, when it comes to believing that there is no God or that there is no creator, and to have the belief of, especially something like atheism, where there is nothing, there is no creator, there is no divine power or anything that created any of this. This is all just random. Is the incredible organization and complexity of the rules in which the universe we actually do live in has. The fact that there is so much organization in regards to mathematical rules that take place means that was all programmed into our reality, right? That gravity takes place. Or that all these planets are floating around in each other and circling each other, and we can mathematically calculate how they're going to behave, or the way atoms react and cells react, and that there are very clear laws of physics that take place here, that these are all pre-programmed in rules that take place, and that something or someone had to create all these rules, right? Otherwise, the rules would just break, but they don't break. It's defined. And that's the thing that always drives me back to it, that there's something that created this, because there's so many predetermined rules. And one of those interesting predetermined rules of life that is subjective, maybe until it's completely proven, is whether or not those Fibonacci's do play a law in rebalancing the universe. That if things get pushed too far in one direction, or if we bounce back in life, we talked about with the examples of doing a really good job exercising and dieting, and then you fall off the wagon, but then you try to pick it back up again, and you just don't quite put in as much effort as you did last time, and then you crash back down again, right? Hey, look, I'm killing it in life. I'm crushing it. I'm working out all the time. Boom. Then you just kind of stop working out. And you're you know what, man, I need to try again. I need to get back into it. I'm going to get back into it. But you just don't put in that same exact effort again. And what did you end up doing? Right? You did a perfect 702 retracement. That's the magic thing, right? I can always do that. That, you end up doing the retracement in life. And it would be so interesting to see if that magic exists in other aspects of the universe in ways we can't quantify it or measure it, and the laws of physics. And it's so simple to do it. But that it happens in other places too. It's even embedded into a lot of ancient organisms and the way their shells are created with the Fibonacci's and things like that. And I do feel like there is probably a lot there that we probably haven't discovered just yet. So anyway, I told you we were going way out on left field, and we did for 6 minutes. I'll stop there. Stash. There's so many things I could say, but I'm just going to leave it at thank you. Thanks, man. Stash. Ryan Sembler says, BCB, do you use a selling formula like percent sell at a certain fib level? If so, could you share? Thanks for everything you do, man. I think it depends on my conviction and where we're at, right? So I took quite a bit off in here, back in here, and re-entered quite a bit back in here, but not everything that I've taken off of here. I think if I wanted to re-enter all of that, because this was a big move, this was a lot. When it came to the altcoins, I rolled it all the way up into there, from the lows. Bitcoin, I had gotten rid of all the Bitcoin that I bought in the 16s, 17s, and 18,000s, right? I got rid of it in the 40s, right? Everybody wants to give you crap for that. But all these people were freaking wash trading themselves in the 16s through the 35s. Whatever, I don't care. But on this one, back into these retracements, it's a bigger hit. It's a bigger number for me because of where we're actually at. This is like the big fat deciding number, and that's for you to determine what you want and what your time preferences are. Are you, can you handle that? Can you handle that? And if that takes a year or two, it's up to you, right? But no, to give you an exact percentage, I don't know if I've got an exact percentage for you. Scorpion Ghost says, what is the XRP price prediction with inflation baked in today? It's only been a month since we've done it. So if you did it based on the market cap, it's still going to get you to like around $9 if you got a full 4.236 extension. But I can, what I can promise you? I can promise you this. If it gets to $5.89, a S-ton of people are going to sell. S-ton. Christina Cantham says, thanks for all that you do, brother. JPM 4.2. Oh, I said Christina. I'm sorry. Krishna Cantham. And you said brother. I'm like, that's not what Christina says. Okay. Thanks for all that you do, brother. JPM 4.26 fib weekly from 2000. No kidding. Almost. Not quite. But at a fib for sure. But that's your typical wave 4 consolidation, right? Crash, retrace, reaccumulation. There's your double tap on top of the all-time high. There's your violent retest. Yeah. Dang. It's not there yet. Barley. Why am I so far behind? Oh my gosh. Magical Unicorns. Puppet Masters pulling the puppet strings. God is simulation or the dead Doge dogs. I do challenge somebody to go find it. Like, I swear. Okay, I can't swear on it. the Mandela effect has either just taken control of me entirely, but I feel like I showed an example of 2017. I feel like we've had it happen within the last 2 years that the dog died. And everybody shares it like it's the biggest news ever. And nobody is like, this already happened. No one's ever like, this has already happened. With rate cuts high, where does retail get capital from? Come and see Jesus says, with rates high, where does retail get capital from? Right. So it'd have to be a rotation of capital, right? I don't know. But again, it's like narrative stuff, right? But that's the challenge you have right now. And I don't know how many times we've talked about it before. Everybody says none of that matters. Bitcoin ETFs, 4-year cycles, block reward halving. None of that matters is what everybody always says. And it's like, well, we don't know that because we haven't been in this circumstance before. You haven't been in a circumstance where you have the Fed funds rate sitting this high and where you don't have the Russell 2000 participating with the rest of the stock market. We have not had this, right? So anybody telling you it's exactly the same as 2013, 2017, and 2021, I've proved it with like a dozen different things. It's not. It's not like 2013, 2017, or 2021. Whether it's gold, whether it's the Russell 2000, whether it's the Fed funds rate. And we haven't gone into expansion. So we are all operating this like day to day right now. Corey, what are you going to do if we don't expand? I'm going to take cash off the table if I start feeling like this is going to come down, right? So I took a lot of cash off the table into the retracement, right? But made re-entries down in here. If I start thinking it's going to break down, I'll pull all that. Andy Philpott gifted 5 BCB memberships, right? But again, this is one of those things too. If you've built no cash position, we are greedy by nature. We're the most greedy things in the entire universe, it seems like, right? So the idea of anybody being like, let me pull a little bit of money off on the side into a retracement, don't want to do it because it could potentially mean you miss out on 20%, right? Like you can do a move like this, you can catch the whole ride, right? 200%. But the idea of missing 20% just makes people cringe on the inside, right? To do a little capital preservation in there, right? That, hey, look, if we go through here, then we get to go into expansion, right? You caught the 200% meat of the move, little capital preservation, maybe. Andy Philpott gifted 5 BCB memberships. Andy, again, man, thank you, brother. How far behind am I? I'm only 16 minutes behind now. Crypto Lolik says, I just want to say thank you. I am late. Please welcome my son as a member of the 702 crew. Every frog day, he learned TA. Give him a shout. Armin, 8 years old. Dude, Armin, man. How strong is your Thank you, Crypto Lolik and Armin, for tuning into the channel. Oscar Hernandez. Who's this guy? Longtime lurker. I'm just jumping in to say hi, and don't forget to hit the like button. Oscar. Good to see you, brother. I know you have had a lot going on in your world, brother. We look forward to your time freeing up and having you back in here more, man. Adrian, BCB, are you grilling this weekend? I have not even thought about anything for myself this week. I am just trying to get through life right now. it has been a rough week for me in life, just in general. And I am just trying to get through life right now, one day at a time. Maybe. It would be nice, right? Don, member for 10 months. My favorite book that explains the world and God is a 3-book series. It's Conversations with God by Neil Don Welsh. It's awesome. Conversations with God. PTW, are you listening? Thank you very much, Don. Masij Bungaj says, any thoughts about no? No. I don't have any thoughts of this meme that you're trying to show. Do you think we are at the circle point you draw for Bitcoin? Right here. I hope so. I hope so. It poked through all retracements. Hopefully it's finding some supports in here. And hopefully next week we get some surprise news. Like Gary Gensler says, I have decided... just hopefully we can come to a conclusion. Gary Gensler, man, gosh, just settle the lawsuit and quit, Gary. Ethan Davis, thank you very much. He says you should make a shirt that says something along the lines of the super cycle of life. Kind of motivational to do better and a good conversation starter. Yeah, that's a good idea. Life is an interesting thing, right? You'll have your up periods and your down periods. But don't be mistaken. Even though I'm having a rough time this week, just in my own personal life with what's going on with my son, I've had much worse times in my life. And I do know that these are parts of life, that you go through these little challenges in life and what happens in here, and there's uncertainty. And there's things that whenever something negative happens to you in the heat of the moment, you're emotional and everything like that, then you kind of come out of it a little bit and realize the things that are important in life and whether or not, again, for people who are just tuning in, my son had a big accident on Monday. Oh, dude, I should update you all. He went to the dentist yesterday, and they were optimistic about how his teeth were doing and that his teeth were firming up. And so they're kind of like, maybe he won't lose them. And so we have another dentist appointment next Tuesday, and maybe he won't. Anyway, he got totally jacked up on Monday with a really bad fall. Busted his lips up. His teeth got shooken loose. Dentist, urgent care, oral surgeon on Monday. It was a big, big day. But in those things, you know, again, like you just kind of like, sometimes you just kind of skate through life a lot, especially with like kids and many times, sometimes with our spouses and in everything in life. We step out of that moment of reminding how grateful we are for everything that we have in our life, and we just become totally entrenched in the everyday rut of life and don't have any gratitude for anything that we do have. But then like sometimes it takes those things of like scaring you a little bit to kind of bring you back a little bit and to get back into that moment of gratitude again. And so I am grateful that like I do feel like I'm doing a better job giving attention to my son and making sure that I'm not like taking every day for granted. You know what I mean? I don't know. This channel is not for me to get deep and philosophical on you guys like I have for the last half an hour. But there you go. All right. Thanks, Mr. Q. Thanks, BSB, for everything. I never loved anyone that I met on the internet, but you and your family, with your stories, made me know you and love you all. Thank you, Mr. Q, for an entire year. Slash is like, yeah, what the heck, BCB? Talk about the chart. All right. So there you go. Throughout the weekend, right? Again, it's not the end of the world if this thing shifts down a little bit lower. You can see I've shown you guys the examples of these things here on how we can look. This is like would not be ideal just from this. The thing is that we're going to get ourselves scared again at the lows, and then that would mean we're just going to keep tracking along really slow. Kind of stink. Hopefully that's not the case, and things kind of progress a little bit faster than that. So the thing that would like be the coolest thing to see throughout the weekend would be that we do actually end up holding in here, and not looking for anything magical, not looking for anything special, kind of like you guys. And that, it just kind of holds. And if we can hold, then hopefully next week we can get some juice to get a lift out. This week was positive, though. Don't be mistaken that it wasn't a positive week. We got what we were looking for in regards to the first pop out to end up happening here. A pullback was expected. Now the next thing, let's turn this puppy around. And so far things seem okay. Now we're just looking for stability to happen after the pullback took place in here. And so far we're looking okay in here. Ethereum ETFs passed. Lots of stuff going on over there in Congress. Hopefully they're not just playing political games with us and tricking us, right? You never know. They're the biggest slime balls on the planet. So remember, they're not looking out for you. They're looking out for themselves. So they don't suddenly love crypto. I don't think that for half a second. They care about if they're going to get to stay in office and get to keep their job. And that is a crazy America that we live in, isn't it? Hot dang. All right. Otherwise, we'll wrap this puppy up. Anything else? Is there anything else to cover? Again, it'll be a short week next week. And then when we get into the June, it's going to be the summer of videos. Be a lot less markets in the morning, a whole lot more videos. And I think you guys kind of got to experience it today with the kids screaming in the background of what I'll be dealing with throughout the summer. But I'm grateful for that and making time available for that. Because my kids are getting older. They're growing faster than you could expect. It is weird. I remember when my daughter, we're getting philosophical again. I remember when my daughter turned 1 year old, me and my wife looking at each other and being like, holy cow, can you believe it? We kept a kid alive for a whole year. How did we do that? That is insane. And then 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it just kept going and going and going. And the time's passing by fast, and there's not much left of their childhood. So, all right, that's it. We're done. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Oh, wait, I was supposed to do this. I forgot. I promised it earlier in the week. Altcoins on Wall Street, baby. It is not the Bitcoin show. It is. All right, I said I would do it if we got the Ethereum ETF passed. Milestone moment in the crypto market. That Bitcoin is not the only horse in town. So there we go. Happy altcoin day is what I'll call that. Guys, but I appreciate you all so much for tuning in. Things are looking okay over here in crypto. Again, it's just still, we haven't gotten into expansion yet. So we watch a big... Give me this. Where are we? Right. We watch ourselves shift back and forth through a big, long range, trying to find a way to escape the big range. And that's what we're in right now, right? So we're dealing with all of that in the crypto market, and we look for a lot of trends to show up in here. But while we're stuck in the middle of the range, it is just a lot of washing machining back and forth. And we're looking for things that look similar and familiar to what we've seen before to say that, hey, a ranging context has come to completion. And so that's where we're at right now. And I know it sounds a lot of repetitive stuff throughout the days and weeks and really technically almost months now at this point as we just keep going on. But that's because that's what we have going on in the market. And people try to make a lot of sense sometimes out of a lot of noise that is going on in here. I mean, we're just kind of doing it at our best that we can and kind of looking at it from that lens right in there that, hey, look, we have gotten all the way back to the top of the range. We've gotten through all of the extensions. We have escaped a channel. We are still in the range, have not escaped it. But hopefully this has set us up in here like with things that we've seen in the altcoin market that we've been looking for weeks on end, that we got out the top of the range this week. It was fully expected there would be a pullback in here. Now it's about, let's find some supports here. Let's find some supports on Bitcoin. And that's what we'll be looking for heading into next week as we still await to see, can we get expansion in the market? Expansion in the market is what everybody comes to this market for. Nobody comes here for the retracement part. Retail does not pile into here for the retracement part of it. Retail piles in when the expansion is full blown underway. And you hear all the glory stories of things like the 2017 bull run. That was absolutely intense and insane. Those are the things you look for when you get to expansion. And that's what we're still waiting on to get a decision on. So hopefully in the coming weeks, we do get it. Till then, we still just watch us continue to hum along in here, and hopefully we're much further along than we think. So, all right, Mark C said, thanks, bye. I will also say thank you all, and goodbye. That's going to be it for this one. Check out the newsletter throughout the weekend. Get your daily dose of glorious newsletter. Anyway, in all seriousness, I don't feel like being serious. It's Friday, man. I write a newsletter. It's got lots of data, and it is a lot of work. I do audio recordings. Check it out. blockchainbacker.substack.com. If you like videos, bcbacker.com. It's glorious. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.